This meeting is being recorded.
All right, so.
This is interesting. There we are.
Okay. Oop. So welcome to Transfer Tuesdays at the Community College of Baltimore County. So our students, every Tuesday throughout the semester, we do a different transfer topic. And your professors asked us to partner with them to do a presentation on transferring to earn your bachelor's degree in education. And so we're going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour talking with you about our programs. And I am your host today. I'm Courtney Topolsky. I'm actually on the Dundalk campus. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Services. Miss Ann Gamble may be popping in at some point. She is the Director of Transfer and Degree and Acceleration. And Professor Robinson helped me coordinate this, and she's one of our assistant professors for education. Our panelists today that I am super excited to welcome are Dr. Kobet from Stevenson University, Professor Malloy from Towson University, and please, if I say any of your names incorrectly, let me know, and Dr. Williams from UMBC. So we're hoping we've got some set questions for them to answer, and then we're gonna open it up for our classes to ask questions as well. And so we're going to go in the order that I just presented you all, which if you hadn't figured out is in alphabetical order by your institution, because that's the way my brain works. So for all of our questions, we'll go Stevenson, Towson, UMBC. And our very first question is, if you would please provide a brief overview of your program, and I am glad to let you share this your screen if you need to.
Hi, thank you so much. I did not prepare a screen. I could pull one up, but I'll just talk to you. I'm super excited to share with you. Stevenson has 3 programs in early childhood and elementary, and then we have actually 2 tracks within our middle school program, which is a math and science track and an English language arts and social studies program. So those are the main focus of our whole program. We have about 125 students, so we're a close-knit community of learners. We have cohorts, so you travel together with your other students that are learning together with you in your same program, but then we also have courses where everybody's mixed together, which they really, really do enjoy. And so those are our 3 programs. We do have a master's program as well. So, but I know that you're interested in the bachelor, so I'll just talk about that today. So I'm assuming I should keep it brief. So I don't want to steal time from everyone else. But I also forgot to say how excited I am to be here to share with you a little bit about what we do at Stevenson. We adore our transfer students, absolutely adore them. And we just suck them right into our programs and, you know, as part of our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Becky from Towson.
Oh my, I don't think I'm going to be as brief because I do have a PowerPoint to share, but okay. I will say I'm really happy to be here. Just from personal experience, transferring into Towson is super easy. I have my daughter is currently in the program that I teach for. I'm here in Harford County, one of our satellite campuses. And, you know, we have a seamless transfer from, you know, Harford Community College, Cecil College, you know, and as well on main campus, a seamless transfer as well from colleges that are, you know, more, you know, convenient to the main campus. So I will say that. You can follow us on social media. I know everyone likes to kind of follow, you know, colleges that they're looking at just to see what we do. So that's how you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's an email address that you could certainly take down to email any questions that you don't have in your mind today to ask. and that's perfectly fine. And someone will certainly get back to you. So I'm just going to go through this PowerPoint again. Don't let the 38 slides push you away. I'm just going to really kind of, take you through just kind of a snippet of what we do here at Towson. So, of course, there is a teacher shortage, and the teacher shortage continues to grow. And it is, my job at Towson in many different ways to help grow that that desire for students to want to be teachers. We need teachers. If we don't have teachers, then we're in really bad shape. So I think that it's wonderful that you are considering that as a career, and I don't think that you'll be you won't regret it. I promise you that. Again, we're just in a time of critical need across the country for good teachers. So I encourage you to stick with it and keep going. We need good ones for sure. Just from personal experience, I mean, I can throw statistics at you, but I will tell you that I've been with Towson for 14 years. And the first part of that, I will say, at the end of the spring semester, when everyone is looking for jobs, there was a period of time when you might not get a job. It was a period of time where budget cuts were happening, and students may or may not get a position. But I will tell you now, over the last several years, they are knocking on the doors of my senior interns, starting in February or March. And that's indicative of the times that we're in. But you're pretty much, you're guaranteed a job. And we're probably where you want to be as well. So that's just a little of my personal, from my personal perspective. So as far as funding goes, I'm going to try to close out of some of these windows here. Oh no, hold on, sorry. I just clicked right on out there. Can you see the PowerPoint again? Okay, great. So we have funding available, the teaching fellows for a Maryland scholarship, and there are also teach grants. So if paying for school is a concern, there are always ways to get around that, and scholarships to look into and grants to look into as well. Everyone has to begin to think about for continuing to fill out the FAFSA. That's something every year that you want to look into, and make sure that you apply every year for that. You never know what kind of funding is going to be available to you. So these are just a few little bullet points in terms of the FAFSA and the MSFAA form. Again, for that financial piece, if that is something that is on your mind as well. Here are some state financial aid programs that we accept.
Becky, I want to pause you just a second. On our end, we still only see your social media slide.
Okay, how about I stop share and continue to share again from that point. I don't know what happened. I tried to click out of a few other windows that I thought that were in the way. So here we go. All right, how's that?
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
You're now on the state financial aid, and you're sharing your full edit screen view and not your slideshow view.
Current slide. Good.
I know it all depends on how many monitors you have. See, students, like, we are learning too.
Absolutely. Well, we did learn a lot about 2 years ago. Sometimes it's the click of a button and it takes it all away. So here are some state financial aid programs that we do accept that are worth looking into as well. And I'm happy to send this out, to anyone that wants this PowerPoint that would like to look into these links as well. So why Towson? We're the oldest and largest preparer of teachers in the state of Maryland. We started out, decades ago as Towson Teachers College, and we continue on with the tradition. So I wonder what you might think the average salary for a teacher in Maryland is. that keeps it continuing to rise. So just have in your mind what you think a guest might be. I won't tell you what I started out as. I won't say what letter. So the average beginning salary for a teacher in Maryland is $50,000. So not a bad starting income. Again, many opportunities to take advantage of that throughout the state, wherever you would end up. With new funding that is coming down the pike, I believe that salary is going to be heading on the upward slide to about $60,000. We'll see how that ends up. And here's a nice little chart with according to county. You never know where you're going to end up. I'm here in Harford County. I've had students in my program end up teaching in Prince George's County. So it really doesn't matter, really where you end up, but that's a helpful chart as well. The National Board of Professional Teaching Standards, that's a nice little stipend that a lot of teachers are heading towards now. It's just an extra certification on your certificate. Of course, summer's off, right? But let me tell you, a lot of teachers in the summer, they might work a part-time job, or they might take classes, but it is a perk to kind of step away from the everyday schedule of a teacher in the summer. It does have its perks for sure. You get to make a difference in students' lives. That's why we're here. We're here because we love children. We want to, or whatever grade level you're considering, you do make a difference no matter what. And I can attest to that. And you get to be a role model as well. Healthcare and retirement are also great perks. Here are some of our undergraduate programs. You can go into early childhood, elementary education, middle school, secondary ed, special ed, and also we have dual cert programs. You can do early childhood and elementary, early childhood special ed, and elementary ed special ed as well. And that is the elementary ed special ed is the program that I have taught for since I started at Towson. We're lucky enough to work with over 100 professional development schools. These are schools that welcome our interns in every single semester, every single year. And we have a great partnership. We've really developed a lot of good relationships, and it really does give you a chance to get into the classroom. This is one of those jobs where we can teach you in the classroom as much as we want, but until you actually get in to an internship situation, that's where you really start to make the growth and see what teaching is really all about. Okay.
So it sounds to me like you have all of these different programs, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's a good transition to Dr. Williams to talk a little bit about UMBC's programs, just because hopefully most of the students who are with us today want to be teachers, and we don't have to convince them to go into this field. We want to try to expose them to what you all have to offer, if that's okay. Okay.
Absolutely. No problem.
So Dr. Williams
I'm
is
going
from
to try to share
UMBC.
my screen as well.
Okay, fair enough.
Greetings, everyone. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see it?
I can see myself.
Not showing up. I know.
There you go. Oh.
Did it work?
Yes, you're sharing your screen
Great.
now.
Great. So welcome, everyone. The really unique thing at UMBC that we love is that all teacher candidates get to have an academic major as well as the teacher certification program coursework. With your academic major, you will graduate with a bachelor's degree in whatever you choose. So if you're early childhood or elementary, you might choose psychology. Or if you're secondary, you would likely choose the content area that you're going to teach, and you would get a bachelor's degree in that particular area and the same license to teach, the same certification that everyone in Maryland gets, because we are approved by the Maryland State Department of Education, like Towson and Stevenson. At UMBC, we offer early childhood certification. We offer elementary certification. We now have a middle grade STEM certification. That is new, and we're really excited about folks joining that. And we also offer secondary certification in all of the sciences, and physics, math, social studies, theater, English, and we also have K-12 certifications in dance, foreign language, and visual arts. At UMBC, you won't have any trouble transferring. We accept the AAT seamlessly, and when you get the AAT, you're automatically accepted into UMBC. You will not be denied ever if you have an AAT. But for those of you who don't have an AAT, for those of you that are just taking education classes and you might not even be getting the degree, no worries. Anyone who's transferring from CCBC with a 2.7 or above will be admitted to UMBC. Okay, I'll stop there because I think that they're going to be asking us questions where I can delve in a little deeper. Thank you.
All right. So our next question is, do you offer an accelerated bachelor's to master's option for our students? Or for your students once they've transferred to you. So again, for students to understand, usually an accelerated program means that while you're finishing your bachelor's, you're starting your master's level credits, and that allows you to complete your master's in a shorter period of time. And we'll go in the same order.
Hello, everyone. Well, I thought since I gave you such a short answer before, I thought I'd add a little bit to that, and then also kind of explain why we do have accelerated programs, but they're for people that have a bachelor's degree in something else. So we concentrate our bachelor's degrees on the early childhood, elementary, and middle school certification areas. So what we do, so we encourage our graduates, our students, to go into the field and kind of learn about what they want to do. We often find people want to do a master's degree, they change their mind a little bit. So that's kind of the stance we have. I mean, I fully support someone who wants to do that, but we have found, for example, I have a recent graduate who did her master's degree at Towson in the autism special education. And she said, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that's where I wanted to go until I got into the classroom and realized children with autism were my jam, and I needed to find a program that supported that. So that is our philosophy behind that. We do have master's degrees. We can accelerate it if somebody wants to do our MSED, which we have, which is an integrative learning. But and so if someone says, I have to do that, that's what I want to do, then we can absolutely work it out. The other thing that I wanted to briefly share, because I think it's really important for you to know, is that we also, I think the entire state of Maryland has made it so nice and so supportive of, and it really attends to our belief in community college education. It is seamless here as well. And we have amazing transfer scholarships where people come in and can come to Stevenson for the same price that they can go to a public institution. So it is, I want you to understand that while it might sound like a private institution would be too much, we have incredible things. And I'm also going to pop in the chat, and I don't know if your instructor can pull it down, but I want to pop in the chat, the Maryland Teaching Fellows Scholarship just came out, and it literally was revealed yesterday. So I don't know if you all know about this, but you must apply. It used to be just for high school students, and they opened it up. And Stevenson has a matching program. So we match what the Maryland Fellows Scholarship Program is doing. So it's pretty exciting there. So that's a little bit behind why we are doing what we're doing in terms of the acceleration. But again, one of the things that I think that we have to offer is that we're small. We have 125 total students, and we can really help you find your way. That's what it's all about. We're a strengths-based institution. We believe in cultivating the strengths of our students. So if you come in and say, this is what I want to do, we're going to help you figure out how to do it. That's really what's behind all of that. So thanks again for the opportunity to share. and to share a little bit about our philosophy. And this is not, everybody should figure out the path that's best for them. That's really what we're behind, doing. All of us here on this call today want you to find your own voice and be able to build your own teacher identity. So that's what it's all about. That's number one, regardless of where you decide to go.
Thank you. Becky?
Yeah, so we do in your senior year, you are able to take up to 9 credits, which equates to about 3 classes towards your master's degree. So that just kind of speeds things up a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Williams?
So we do offer an accelerated bachelor's master's program. As a junior, you can apply and you get to double count 3 courses, 3 or 4 courses, up to 12 credits for both the bachelor's and the master's degree. So that's exciting. And while you're an undergraduate taking the graduate courses, you get charged the undergraduate fees. And you may not know this, but graduate fees tend to be quite a bit more. So that is a nice savings. We have that available for our Masters of Art in Teaching, which features all of those programs that I showed you earlier, early childhood, elementary, K through 12, middle grades, and secondary. And we also have an accelerated program for the TESOL. And the TESOL program is renowned up and down the East Coast as well as around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So our third question is, where do your students commonly student teach? Because that's always something students ask me. When I transfer, where am I going to student teach? And I'm like, I don't know. And I know that it really can depend on the student, but if you would address that in general.
Sure. So a couple things about our placements for student teaching is that we are currently placing right now at this moment. I have people in St. Mary's County, Carroll County, Howard County, Baltimore County, and not Hartford County. Occasionally we do have Hartford County. So we also have partner and professional development schools, but we have this wild thing going on right now, which is Maryland has allowed us to allow our interns to long-term sub as their internship. Now, this isn't for everyone, but it is certainly a financial, a big financial support. So we have to work out all of the supports. So this gives us an opportunity to help if there's a particular place that someone wants to be, and then we can work it out. We are definitely up for helping students do that. So I have 34 interns right now, and I have about, by the end of the semester, we'll have 15 of them doing a long-term sub position. So they're doing both together. Now we have to make sure that everybody's fully supported, has all of the pieces in place that allow them to be super successful, because the whole goal is that you want to teach at the end of your internship and you're excited and motivated to do it. So that's where people are right now. We try to put groups of people together so they have the support network behind them. And then we have a whole bank of people behind them who are supporting them, including mentor teachers in the schools, university mentors, which are university mentors that we pay as well as other local folks from the different school systems that are providing this wonderful support. So that's how it's working now. I mean, 2 years ago, I would have told you a little bit of a different story, but right now, because of the teacher shortage that we were talking about, we're looking at ways that we can help you get as much experience teaching. And if there's a financial support for that, we're going to try and figure that out as well. So it's wild, wild west right now, but in a good way.
Thank you. Becky?
I agree with that. Hi again. So we based out of main campus, you're going to student teach in Baltimore County, Howard County, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, Montgomery, around, those surrounding counties. And again, with satellite schools, we do have Towson University Northeast, and we have Southern Maryland as well. Of course, those students are gonna student teach, around those areas. And up here, we do Hartford and Cecil County as well.
Thank you. Dr. Williams?
Yes, we do have several counties that we use for student teaching. And can you see the screen?
No, I
No.
can't. Can you all? Okay, they can. You're good.
Oh, they can? Okay, great. We have partnership schools in Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Howard County. And UMBC has a long-standing history of allowing long-term subs or conditionally hired teachers to use those positions as their internship so that you can continue to stay in the community where you're serving and teaching and get paid for your internship.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really exciting. I think, one of the things that we've learned over the years is that, depending on where you go, that might be where you're student teaching. So for our students who don't necessarily want to leave the Baltimore area, you all are a great option for transfer and being able to student teach in the area. So our next question: are there any common pitfalls that you would like our prospective transfer students to know? Right? Because sometimes there are things that we just don't know because we're on the community college side. So things that you wish, everybody would have considered. And Beth, I know it's always a lot of pressure that you're going first, but you get this question first too.
Yay! So I thought a lot about this question. I thought it was such a great question, actually, to think about. And I thought this is something that we should ask our students as well. So I asked a couple of the transfer students this question. And what they said about coming here is the general throw yourself. The pitfall is that you've been at one place and you might not feel like you can, am I going to get connected to this new group of people? I felt comfy, especially I talked to my CCBC. I felt comfy with how everything was going. I knew who my people were, and kind of just stretching yourself a little bit to just dive into the activities, go to the events, and really just throw yourself into the community so that you can get all of the benefits that your new place will have. And I thought that was such a great idea. And really, we do a lot of things we have a social event and everyone gets a t-shirt, a School of Ed t-shirt, and we do a lot of things like that. And they said, it's just kind of nerve-wracking in the beginning to do that, but go ahead and do that. That's one big thing. And the other one is to really engage with your professors as soon as you possibly can, particularly if you have specific ideas about things that you want to do. Maybe you're thinking, you did an early childhood, but now you're wondering about elementary. And could you have a field experience, and just not be afraid to ask for what you need and advocate for yourself so you can really get what you want and need out of the experience. So I really appreciated those, the comments from the students. The only thing that I was thinking about from our side of it, and our community college students always know this, is really about the praxis plan. Like, what is the praxis plan? We do not require particular praxis to be passed. You're accepted into the program, and then we support you to do that. And then, but some programs do, so that's something to think about. But also, like, the financial impact of that, and what is your big long-term plan, so that when you're ready, when you graduate, you are ready to go, and you do not have the this on your shoulder, like, I still have to take care of that, so that you can get your full salary and just seamlessly worry about planning and instructing and not worry about any of those kinds of things. So what we built into that is to do the praxis plan. And the praxis plan shouldn't be lockstep, because for everyone, it's a little bit different, and different praxis might make them a little bit more nervous. And so we have some guidance on that. And so to really think about how that's going to be taken care of too. So
That's awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, so I would echo those thoughts as well in terms of, kind of knowing what the requirements are. But I also would encourage any transfer student to really stay connected with their advisor and to make sure that before you leave your community college that you have everything that you need in order to come into whatever college you choose. You just don't want to, assume that everything is all set. Just kind of do periodic check-ins with your advisor. Hey, I'm looking at, transferring to whatever school. I wanted to check on the list of classes that I've already taken. Is there anything else? Because what you don't want is to get to your third and fourth year, and even your internship year where you're really heavily embedded in your schools and have to take a class so that you might have missed. So just kind of stay connected with your advisor, do those check-ins, and you should be, in great shape.
Thank you.
Me now?
Yes.
So at UMBC, you will have an academic major, as I mentioned earlier, as well as take a course of study in education classes. And we could always get you in any of the education classes that you want. But if you register late for the next semester, you might have a difficult time getting into some of the classes in your major that you want. So I'm going to give you an excellent tip. If you plan to come to UMBC, sign up for the earliest orientation you possibly can. Everyone must come to orientation in order to be able to register the first time. We're doing it electronically now, so you don't have to come in person. But if you can get one in December for spring transfer or in June for the fall transfer, you'll be able to get into any classes that you want in your major. So that's my tip.
That's awesome. I share that. So I before CCBC worked at UMBC, and before that University of Maryland. And there's nothing worse than working with transfer students the week before the semester starts, trying to build schedules for folks when there's nothing left and you've already taken your foundational classes. So yes, please go to orientation early. Professor Robinson?
I'm going to jump in since somebody mentioned praxis, because for our AAT students, you need to keep something in mind. One of the requirements to graduate with an AAT from CCBC is that if you have a GPA of 2.7 to essentially 2.99, you haven't reached that 3.0 threshold that Maryland State Department of Education is saying, okay, we'll waive it if your GPA is a 3.0 or above. You will have to take Praxis Core, which is much like the SAT, in order to graduate with your AAT. So don't start thinking about that your last semester here. Start thinking about it now. You are primed with all of your entry-level English classes and math classes. You are primed and much better prepared to take Praxis Core now than you're going to be just before you graduate. For those of you that have a 3.0 or above, whether it's AAT or AA, you are good to go as far as graduating with your AA or graduating with your associate's degree and moving on. But keep in mind, Maryland State Department of Education wants you to have a 3.0 or above when you graduate in your senior year in order to waive Praxis Core. So if you're that person that kind of hangs around at 2.9 something, 3.0, 3.1 something, my best suggestion is that you take Praxis Core now. Once you take it and pass it, you don't have to worry about it. You don't want to find out that you take a 4-credit chemistry class your last semester along with your student teaching and you go to a 2.98. So you have to do your student teaching, take Praxis Core and your Praxis Specialty Area test in order to become a certified teacher and graduate. You don't want to leave that to the last minute. So if you are truly kind of a B student and you dip below a little bit or above a little bit, just take Praxis Core now. That way you don't have to worry about it. And we can talk at another point in time in the ways that we can support you in that. And that's my soapbox. There we go.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you. And that's why when you go to your general advisor, we're often going to ask you if you've talked to your faculty in the education department, because they know some of the ins and outs that we don't deal with every day. Our last standard question for everybody, and then we'll open it up to our classroom of students, is where do most of your students find employment after degree completion? And I have a feeling it's probably going to be a lot of those same places that you mentioned with student and teaching. We have some standard questions. So like when I ask this to the business folks, it really opens up the gamut of things. But is there anything that we haven't thought of, or places that your students are finding employment, and maybe it's even outside of the school system? So Beth, we'll start with you again, and we'll go through, and then we'll open it up. So students, if you have questions, this is the time to start thinking about them too, so that your instructor can have them ready to ask us.
So yes, you're absolutely correct. They start getting jobs in the area and are offered often from the partnership or the PDS school. I mean, it's amazing. And I joke that I've become the intern's agent, because they'll call me and say, okay, all right, I got this, I got that. Something that's coming out this week is anyone interning in Baltimore County is going to get offered an open contract. So that is how this is working now. So if you're interning, you're doing your student teaching as a senior in Baltimore County, they're going to do that. But I will tell you, we have students probably like everyone else go everywhere. I have students in Tennessee, Alaska, California, Pennsylvania, and so on. So when they want to do that, and because it's a very interesting process, you have to get your Maryland license first, and then you apply for your teaching license in another state. So if you want to go somewhere else, the key will be communication and asking, can we sit down? And I actually just sat down with someone yesterday who's going to Tennessee, and we sort of outlined what she needed to do, the forms and so on. And then we certify from our standpoint what they've done. But you follow through with all your praxis and get your Maryland certificate. I would say that's probably the biggest question. If you have a dream of going somewhere special, it's wherever you land, start thinking about what you might need to do to get yourself situated so that is a easy transition for you. But it's really exciting for our teacher candidates to think about where they want to be. And we're really encouraging them to say, what is it I want? What does it look like? What does this school feel like? What's the vibe I need? What kind of support am I going to have? Because this is where you're going to be, and you want it to be in a place that will support you to be the best teacher you can be. So I think that's the number one thing to be thinking about.
Thank you.
I think that is just about everything that I would have said as well. I have students all over the country. One of my very first cohorts, one of my students, he ended up going overseas. He taught in Kuwait for about, I want to say 12 years maybe, and just recently came back to the United States and is teaching here now. But that's the thing. That's the great thing about a teaching degree, is that once you're certified in the state where you are receiving your education, then it really is just like, just like you said, Beth, is that communication, talking to your school-based people here, but as well doing your homework and maybe reaching out to people on the other end of wherever you think you want to land after graduation, and keeping that line of communication open. And the great thing about now is that you can meet virtually. And you can really sit down kind of face to face, quote unquote, with people and have those intimate conversations about, maybe this is where I want to be. Maybe this is where I want to start my teaching career. So again, just being proactive, I think, is key. Always, staying organized and getting those getting your ducks in a row, so to speak, will serve you well.
Thank you. Vicki?
And for UMBC, really, it's the same. Most of our students get jobs in the counties where they student teach because they set it up that way. They wanted to student teach where they were planning to apply for a job. But like the other colleges, we have students who teach all over the country. And of course, our TESOL students, they go all over the world to teach.
Fantastic. All right. So this is the time for the classroom to ask us questions.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'll forward the question to you.
Awesome.
My question was, I want to transfer in the fall semester of 2023. So would it be best to stay here and finish out the degree, or would I be fine transferring with the credits I'll have at the end of the semester? I wanted to go to Towson.
Did you hear that?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
Student wants to transfer in fall of 2023 to Towson. At this point, she's made up her mind. Is it advisable for her to finish out her degree here first, or to transfer without the degree?
Well, mine says I only need 24 credits.
Online, it said she needs 24 credits to transfer.
So I'm going to tell you that from a transfer standpoint, and this is regardless of the institution, statistics say that if you have your degree before you transfer, you're like a whole lot more likely to actually finish and complete your bachelor's degree then. Where students who have don't have their degree when they transfer, less than 1 out of 3 will actually finish their bachelor's degree. Plus, if you do the Associates of Arts in Teaching, there's a kind of a seamless transfer to that. But Professor Robinson?
Just, and this is from the perspective of somebody that left CCBC and did not have a degree. Where I went to, because I didn't have a degree, they could pick and choose what classes they wanted to accept. And I ended up having to retake a lot of the classes that I took at CCBC because they weren't of the same rigor. But yet we used the same textbooks, and I mean, everything about the classes was the same. So from my perspective, if you don't want to have to repay for a lot of your credits, you are best able to move on as close to, if not to your junior year, if you have your degree in full. When you don't have the degree, it just leaves you open to people picking and choosing what they'll accept, what they won't accept.
From our university partners, any thoughts? Do you agree with us?
I was just going to say the block transfer is amazing. When you see what it does to the courses that you have to take, it's like this most beautiful thing ever. And I love to watch the students look at what is being block transferred over. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So I think it's a great idea. And it just means that you're coming here to do, or going to Towson or UMBC to do the education part, which is what you want to do. So, yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is that even with the great scholarships the institutions that are here have, we're still generally a fraction of the cost. And so you just want to keep that in mind too. So if there are those credits that you still need, you may want to really consider staying at CCBC. So if you're not already working with one of the education faculty here, because I can't see like who asked the question, please, connect with your professor and sit down and talk with him about what you have left and what may be the best path. We really encourage that degree completion. Plus, some of the schools, I know Towson is one of them, they have more scholarship money if you already have a degree than if you just generally transfer. Okay, other questions from your class?
Any other questions? Melissa wants to work in another state. She's curious, do you need to have a reciprocity agreement with Maryland in order to teach another state? Can the degree and the certification go into any state in the country?
I have to do this for our institution. I don't know about the rest of you. I have to every summer I go through every state website and look at what the agreements are. So I will tell you in the past 2 years, these reciprocities, which is kind of a not quite anything is reciprocal. In other words, you always still have to apply for your license in the new state, but it's become so easy now, much easier. So it's really a state by state example. There are a couple states that are a little more challenging. It doesn't mean you won't get it. You get it. You just have, the application process is just a little more on the sticky side. But I have never had anyone, and all of our institutions, you're going to get a Maryland license. So it's about the certification, and every single person that I've been through the process for has received their certification in the other state. So it's not difficult. It's not difficult. You have to just have a little persistence about the paperwork and who's getting the paperwork and things like that. And I see everyone else nodding. So, but I do this every year, and it's wild because from the year before to last, we had about 5 or 6 more states kind of go on and say, yes, it's a seamless transition. Some of them will say you have to do a lot of the weird stuff that you have to do is like a module on, they might have school safety module, or they might have, so they have odd little things in each state. And I don't mean they're odd. They're probably very extremely valuable, but I mean like just different criteria like that.
And I just wanted to say that, piggybacking on that, that just goes back to keeping those tabs on with your advisor and asking those questions, because these things do change from year to year. There could be states that have said yes that say now no. There could be states that aren't on board that say yes. So again, just keeping that relationship with your advisor and asking those questions if that's something that you see yourself doing moving out of state.
I'm going to ask, because it's been so long since I've done anything like this. I know that, I've worked with people that have moved from state to state. And, for the most part, if they didn't meet all of the state requirements, they were still granted a provisional certification and told that you have a year to take 3 courses. So it's not that it won't ever happen, but they may not accept, they may not fully certify you when you move to the state or start working for the state, but they typically will give you time to do what it is that you have to do in order to get that state certificate. Am I correct? Still, okay.
Yes, for example, Virginia requires that you take a history of Virginia class, but you can be provisionally licensed until you do that.
Great, thank you. And I had to mute the class because of the feedback, so that since we're recording it. So if you have another question, I just need you all to unmute yourselves because I can't unmute you for whatever reason.
We have one final question. Dylan
Awesome.
would like to know about the trip to Towson, if that's still on, and whether there'll be other trips to other 4 years this semester as well.
I think that one's for me. We are hoping. Right now, the big thing is we have to go through and make sure that we can accommodate everybody. We do have at least 1 van, possibly 2 vans going, but I'm not hearing back from a lot of people. So, if you want to go on that trip, you need to email myself or Professor Leibowitz. And yes, we are hoping to set up some more things with other schools as well.
So my final plug for you all to know is about our Degrees to Succeed programs. And currently out of the 3 schools here today, we have agreements with 2 of the 3. Stevenson will probably be our first private. We're just not quite there yet. What Degrees to Succeed is that you start off at CCBC and you say, I know I want to be a teacher, or I know I want to be, if you're a different major, because you're in Education 101, I want to be a psychologist, I want to be what have you. And UMBC is my first choice, or Towson's my first choice. You need to see your advisor or your faculty member and say, hey, that's what I want to do. As long as you meet their criteria, you are duly admitted to both schools. You will be advised by both your advisor here at CCBC and an advisor at the university. This allows you to really work through navigating some of those maybe additional concerns that people have brought up, and really to make sure that you're completely on track, especially if you're going into secondary education of some sort, because really you're getting a degree in a topic, in a major, and then the education's your certification on top of that. So if you haven't heard about this and you're interested, please go on our website. You can just type in Degrees to Succeed. It'll pop right up. You can also find it on our social media pages, CCBC Transfer Planning and CCBC Transfer on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I don't, what do you call it? I don't TikTok, sorry. But if you haven't heard about it, it's something that you really should look at. Some of the institutions do require that you have less than a certain number of credits. So even if you're like, I'm not ready to transfer yet, that's fine. That's when we want you. We want you to do this now. It will waive your application fee to the university down the road. And for some of our partner schools, there are some additional competitive scholarships. So it's huge. And like I said, we will be signing with Morgan State later this spring. And then I believe Stevenson is the next institution for CCBC to start the conversation with. Yes, Teresa.
I'm going to add, because, you guys are EDTR 215 or EDTR 101, Dave?
101.
Okay, so you guys, this is something that you definitely want to consider, because you are typically in your first semester here at CCBC or your second. So this is definitely time to think about that. So take the time to contact Professor Brown-Strapp, Professor Grunberg-Quinn, Professor Taylor, whomever it is that you work with. And we can kind of give you the lowdown.
So I
Okay.
just, go ahead.
I was going to say thank you very much.
So I just want to thank our guest for joining us today. I want to thank the class for joining us. Apparently our 120 class had some tech issues that they couldn't resolve. We're all learning. So thank you so very much to our guests from Stevenson, Towson, and UMBC. Please, students, this is the best time of year to be advised. February is the slowest month of the year, so please work with your professors or go in and see an advisor, because registration will happen probably around spring break. And that's only like 5 or 6 weeks away. So don't let it sneak up on you, plan in advance. And thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.